A killer left his DNA everywhere and still vanished. At 10 p.m., December 30th, 2000, in one of Tokyo's safest neighborhoods, a family was murdered inside their own home. But here's the part that still haunts investigators. The killer didn't escape. He stayed. He ate their food, used their toilet, lay down on their couch, and left behind more evidence than almost any killer in Japanese history. Yet police have never found him. Tonight, we're breaking down Japan's most baffling unsolved case, the Setagaya family murders, and why the killer might still be walking free today. But first, what happened inside that house? The Miyazawa family lived a quiet, comfortable life. A father, Mikio, a successful designer who worked for a foreign-affiliated company developing corporate identity for major corporations. A mother, Yasuko, who ran a cram school from their home. Their two children, 8-year-old Nina, who was in 2nd grade and took ballet and piano lessons, and 6-year-old Rei, who attended kindergarten. It was the night before New Year's Eve, a time when families across Japan settle in for celebration. But the Miyazawas didn't know something terrifying. Someone was already inside their home. Just after 10:38 p.m., after Mikio logged into his email one last time, something changed. Investigators believe a man had climbed to the 2nd floor and entered through the bathroom window. He moved first to Rei's bedroom, where he strangled the child, the only family member killed this way. When Mikio heard the disturbance, he rushed upstairs to investigate. He walked straight into the killer. The attack was brutal and immediate. Police believe the killer used a sashimi knife, a weapon he brought with him. Mikio fought back hard, and the killer cut himself badly in the struggle. Blood splattered everywhere. Mikio's defensive wounds showed how fiercely he resisted. But the killer overpowered him, and a piece of the blade broke off inside Mikio's head. Then something shifted. Instead of fleeing the house, the killer went to find Yasuko and Nina upstairs. He attacked them with the broken knife. When that proved difficult, he went downstairs, grabbed a kitchen knife from their own drawers, and returned. The injuries to both women suggest they were subjected to especially violent attacks. And then he stopped and stayed. The next morning, Yasuko's mother came to check on them. The front door was unlocked. Her daughter wasn't answering. She walked in and immediately sensed something was wrong. Upstairs, she found the unimaginable. Police arrived minutes later, but what they discovered didn't line up with any crime scene they had seen before. Because upstairs, the killer had lived inside the home for hours after murdering the family. This is where the case becomes something out of a horror film. Inside the house, police found evidence that the killer remained for at least 2 to 10 hours after the murders. Melted ice cream containers. He'd helped himself to 4 ice creams from their refrigerator. 4 bottles of barley tea he'd consumed. A melon he'd eaten without utensils. Used tissues scattered throughout. Discarded bandages. He'd raided the family's first aid box to treat his wounds. But he also used something else, Yasuko's sanitary pads, trying desperately to stop the bleeding. A computer that had been logged into at 1:18 a.m. after the murders, browsing a theater website. And the toilet, used but not flushed. From his feces, investigators analyzed what he'd eaten the previous day: string beans and sesame seeds. Cheap, easy-to-make foods popular among younger people. Investigators also found physical evidence of something even more striking: a cushion placed at the end of the living room sofa with a hollow mark as if a head had been laid on it. The Miyazawas were known for their fastidious nature. They wouldn't have left the sofa messy. Investigators believe the killer took a nap on their couch. Who murders an entire family and then relaxes in their home? Unless he was waiting for something or someone. Most killers try to leave nothing behind. This one left everything. Police recovered full fingerprints found throughout the house, full DNA profile, his blood type A left in trails across multiple rooms. His sweatshirt, only 130 of this model were sold between August and December 2000 across 41 stores in 14 prefectures. Only 12 purchasers have been identified. His scarf, 130 by 30 centimeters, acrylic, green with red, black, orange, and dark green checks. His gloves, Edwin brand, 26 centimeters in size. Between 1998 and 2000, only 10,755 pairs were manufactured. His shoes, Slazenger brand, 27.5 centimeters. Here's the crucial detail. This size was only sold in South Korea. It was never sold on the Japanese market. His hat, a crusher hat. Only 3,465 were sold nationwide between July 1998 and November 2000. His hip bag, only 2,850 were produced, sold at discount stores in the Kanto region from September 1995 through January 1999. His handkerchiefs, 2 of them left behind. Between 1995 and 2000, only 66,500 black handkerchiefs of this exact type were manufactured. Fibers from his clothes, sand trapped inside the soles of his shoes. That sand came from a very specific place, Edwards Air Force Base in California, and a skate park in Japan. The killer also left behind his bag. Inside were items so specific they could be traced to limited production runs. This is the most documented crime scene in Japanese history. So why hasn't he been found? Using DNA and physical evidence, police determined the killer was male, likely 15 to 22 years old, revised downward by the TMPD in 2018, with a mix of East Asian and European ancestry, paternal DNA indicating a father of East Asian descent, maternal DNA suggesting a mother of European descent, possibly from a South European country or the Caucasus region. Lithe in build, based on the difficulty of entering through the bathroom window. Right-handed, injured in the attack. His blood was everywhere, suggesting he bled heavily. They knew almost everything about him, except the only thing that mattered, who he is. Because his DNA didn't match anyone in Japan. So where did he come from? Japan launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Over 280,000 police officers have been involved in the case at one point or another. More than 10,000 pieces of evidence were collected. DNA databases across Asia were cross-referenced. The sand from the killer's shoes was traced to Edwards Air Force Base in California. The jacket he wore was traced to a batch of 82,000 pieces sold nationwide between October 2000 and the date of the murders. The sweatshirt was tracked to only 130 pieces sold in specific stores. The shoes were identified as a size only available in Korea. At several points, police believed they were close, very close. But every lead fell apart. Why? Why it failed? Investigators consider several reasons. 1. His DNA isn't in any database, meaning he was never arrested, never hospitalized, never documented in Japan's system. 2. He might have been a military dependent. The sand from Edwards Air Force Base, the Korean shoes, the lithe form capable of entering through a small window, all point to someone possibly connected to military families stationed in Japan. Foreign military dependents aren't included in national databases. 3. He could have fled Japan immediately after the murders. With an injury like his, bleeding so heavily he needed multiple bandages, he would have needed medical attention, likely abroad. Local hospitals had no matching admission that night or the next morning. 4. Privacy laws limited how far police could dig. But the darkest theory? 5. He may have had protection, or was hiding in plain sight. Modern developments, 9:15 to 10:30. Nearly 25 years later, the house still stands, though deteriorated. Billboards still ask for information. Police still hold annual memorials. New DNA technology has reanalyzed the evidence several times. Tips still come in weekly, and the case has never been closed. A 20 million yen reward remains in place for information leading to the killer's arrest. But the most haunting discovery remains. The killer bled heavily during the fight with Mikio. He was seriously injured, so injured that he needed to spend hours treating his wounds in the Miyazawa home. Someone, a friend, a parent, a nurse, a stranger at a hospital, someone on a train, saw him that night. They just didn't know who he really was. Theory 1. A military kid. The sand, the foreign DNA, the Korean shoes, the lithe build, all point toward military families stationed in Japan. Perhaps he fled immediately after the murders. Perhaps he's living overseas now, completely off the grid. Theory 2. A hired killer. But hired killers don't sleep on sofas, they don't eat ice cream, they don't leave behind their entire outfit. This doesn't fit the profile. Theory 3. A protected individual. Someone with diplomatic or military immunity. Someone whose DNA was never entered into any system. Someone whose connections shielded them from investigation. Theory 4. A random drifter. But drifters don't leave behind perfectly preserved clothes with traceable production runs. Drifters don't own rare jackets sold in only 41 stores. Drifters don't have shoes in sizes only available in Korea. This suggests someone with access to specific goods. Every theory answers one question and creates 3 more. The killer cut himself so badly during the fight with Mikio that he left a trail of his own blood across the house. Type A blood, a specific DNA profile. This means he wasn't just injured, he may have been close to passing out. Somewhere, someone saw a young man bleeding heavily that night, maybe on a train heading away from Tokyo, at a clinic or hospital seeking treatment but not reporting the serious wound. at home where a worried family member tended to his injuries, that person might still be alive today. And they may have no idea they once stood face to face with a killer. They might not even remember, or they might be protecting him. This case is still open. Police still want leads, and someone out there knows something, even if they don't realize it. If you found this story compelling, subscribe for more mysteries that keep you up at night. Because the Setagaya killer is still out there, and the case isn't over.